once again. Hey, your objective this week is to build and read box and whisker plots, sometimes just called box plots. Your learn task will be an iReady lesson. There's kind of two parts to this, and I'm still unclear how it looks there on the student side. But what I see on the teacher side is a lesson portion and a practice portion, and then the quiz. So make sure you get through that before academic meetup. Your due task is a Google form. It's got some problems there that ask you to identify accurately a box and whisker plot. And then of course we'll meet up and we'll talk about box and whisker plots next Wednesday. Let's talk some details about box and whisker plots and time. So once again, your goal is to build and to interpret box and whisker plots. Box and whisker plots are part of a branch of math called statistics. And statistics is all about representing groups. And there's usually two details that you're often interested in when you're looking at groups. One is what's the middle of the group, that is what's most common, and the measures for the middle are mean, median, and mode. The other thing that you're often asking is what's the spread of the group, that is how far away from what's typical or common do people in the group get. And so there's an important thing to keep in mind, and that is individuals affect the group. Because if I asked you what's a typical middle schooler, well, that's kind of hard to pin down because there's so much great variety. Have a little example to sort of illustrate this. Remember, statistics is a math tool we use in order to describe groups. Two things we're often asking about groups is what's typical or what's common, and that's where we have the measures of mean, median, mode. And then we also want to know how spread out things are. That's where we have range and we have variance. So if I was to ask you, say these are gold nuggets, and I want to know how much each one weighs. But what's common in this group? You go, they all look pretty much the same, right? So any one represents the group well. So if we actually had numbers with these, all these numbers would be pretty close to the same. But what if the group has some variance in it, some spread? Look, the group's different now. It's got these two little guys. So what's typical here is not quite represented just by these guys, right? Because if we were to spread these out, these smaller guys, they're closer here. If we were to weigh them, they would be closer to 0 than these guys. So you can see things are starting to spread out. So what's typical is not quite what it was when we were just looking at this. Let's change it one more time. Now look at our group. Ooh, it's got this big beast. So when we look at all this, what's typical here? Well, this is why we want to know not only what might be in the middle, but we want to know how spread out things are. So if I was to take this and I was to spread these things out, these little guys here, they would be closer here towards 0, right? And this beast right here would be way over here because it would certainly weigh much more than this. And these guys would be kind of clumped together. But we could do better than that. The box and whisker plot helps us to see that. And what you'll do is you'll take the numbers and you'll put them in order. So these would obviously be down here on this end. This big one would be up here on this end. And you're going to take all the data and you're going to spread it out into 4 equal size groups. So what do I mean? I mean I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Hey, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So this would be a group, this would be a group, this would be a group, and this would be a group, right? So all my data is in 4 equal piles. But you can see this pile, there's a lot of variance. The range of this is going to be much more spread out. Where these guys here are pretty much the same, and these are the same. And this is going to have a lot of spread in it too, in this little subgroup. Box and whisker plot helps you to see that. So we want to know the median, what's in the middle, and we want to know what's on the ends, and we want to kind of know the quartile, which is kind of the middle of the lower half, and the upper quartile, which is the middle of the upper half. There's some differences for even-sized groups and odd-sized groups as well. Let's go back to our notes. some vocabulary that you'll come back to time and time again. You know, where you're doing box and whisker plots, it's the minimum, the lower quartile, also called Q1, the median, which is the middle of the data, often called Q2, the upper quartile, called Q3, the maximum, the largest value, the inner quartile range, IQR, that's that middle 50% of the data, and then last is the range, you know, the maximum minus the minimum. Pay close attention when you're asked questions about finding the difference of certain points in data sets. Just listen carefully to what they're asking. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Make sure you get your Learn You Do tasks complete so you're ready for academic meetup, and we'll see you around next week very soon.